So now we take this back to where we started. We take this back to Tottenham. Some of you would have seen the video. 62-year-old man tasered atop of the stairs. They weren't stairs like this, they were stairs up there. And here is that 62-year-old man and his son Wretch. Imagine, Wretch is a hero for us in this community. He's a hero. And he pays some whatever hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds in taxes. And they still, and he don't want you to know how much it make. They still handle his people like this. If there's no justice, there can be no peace. Go on with that.
My heart warms with love seeing everyone standing here today. And it's saddened at the same time that we have to be standing here today. I feel that as a community, as a people, we're over-policed and we're under-protected. We don't feel protected. My dad didn't feel protected. The police are supposed to protect and serve. When they came into the house, what exactly was they serving with that taser? That's not the service that we're requiring from them. If they have intelligence, they're supposed to arrest and not harm. My dad wasn't arrested, but he was harmed. I'm still confused as to what service we're requiring. And I'm not somebody who knows all the statistics of everyone who's been stopped and searched. I don't know all the statistics of all the deaths in custody because I don't see numbers. They see numbers. And that allows them to brush things under the carpet, because when you're looking at a person as a statistic, it dehumanizes it. I see people. So when I hear about 3 kids were stopped and searched, I think about my little sister, my little brother, and my little cousin. When I hear a 62-year-old man was tasered in his house, I think of my dad. When I hear someone was gunned down by the police, I think of Jermaine and I think of Mark Duggan. This isn't a statistic for me. It's not a statistic for this community. This is a reality. And because of this reality, there's no trust in the system. There's been no trust in the system. No justice. No justice. I remember as a kid, watching my uncle and my dad talking on the news about police brutality, about injustice. They've been fighting this fight since I was born. They were 30 or 35 or 32 or 33 at the time. I'm now 35, and I have to be standing here fighting the exact same fight that they've been fighting for over 30 years. When will the fucking fuckery stop? No justice. No justice. It actually breaks my heart to see the amount of families that have been affected by this system. Families, some of them which I know, some of them which I don't. I'm seeing faces on t-shirts. This is what they've brought us to. They've brought us to having faces on t-shirts and coming out here and speaking to the community about these faces and who they are and what they meant and who their families were. At some point, this has to stop. This has to stop. And our brothers as well, our brothers in the community, we've got to slow down on some of the things that we're doing. We have to slow down. We have to slow down, because if we're not respecting ourselves, they're not going to respect us. They're not going to respect us at all. And I'm not even someone that has all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I'm not my uncle. I don't have all the answers. I don't know exactly what we're going to do. But what we are not going to do, we're not going to have it. So whenever there is no justice, there shall be no peace. No justice. No justice. My dad stands here today. My dad stands here today. And I say that because in my eyes, he's lucky to be alive. When I viewed that footage, I couldn't understand what had taken place in that house. When I viewed that footage, my heart was broken. I couldn't fathom how someone could think this is acceptable. Instead of taking accountability, what they decide to do is attack me in The Guardian for posting the video. But you know what? That don't shut me up, because I fear nothing. I fear nothing but the Creator. I fear nothing but the Almighty. That don't shut me up. I'm gonna use my platform to the day I die, even if it kills me. And I think all of us here have a duty to fight, man, because one day it sounds like an idea and it's something you've seen on the news. And then next week, it's in your house and you're the family that's affected by it. Let's not wait till it's too late, man. No justice, no peace, man. No justice, no justice. Thank you, man. No justice! British police! British police! British police! Now, one of the last families that we lost in Tottenham at the hands of the police was Jermain Baker. We don't talk much about Jermain Baker. You don't hear much about Jermain Baker's name in the media, and I'll tell you why.
I will.
Because we didn't burn the place down. Because we didn't burn our own town down, we don't hear his name. But we'll hear his name soon, because they can't not have the, they're not even going to have an inquest. They're going to have a public inquiry now. But this case is significant. I'm trying to understand this. The reason they get to do the whitewash every time, now ride with me. The reason they get to do the whitewash every time is because they have a safety net. It means that they can go to court, they can go to an inquest, and they can say, I had an honestly held belief. I had an honestly held belief. There's no way you can shake that. When we lost the case of Duggan, we was going to the European Courts of Justice, and we was taking them on in the civil courts on the basis that it just does my head in to even think about it. On the basis that it has to be a rational, honestly held belief. Do you remember they killed Harry Stanley because he had a bit of wood in the bag? We had an honestly held belief it was a gun, and it wasn't a gun. They said they shot Duggan because he had a gun in his hand, and then they said the gun was found 7 meters away. But I had an honestly held belief he had a gun. And somehow they're not prescribed to be a liar. In the case of Jermain Baker, they're now following the argument that we started with Duggan. It must be rational. And that's why the IOPC, who are a toothless organisation, are trying to raise the bar for the police now. They're trying to raise the standard. And people need to follow this case. They need to support this family. Because we need this put into law that the police must have a rationally held belief. That means they'd have to prove that there was something that made sense that made them behave that way. Otherwise, we'd expect them to go to prison. So now give a big hand to the last of the Tottenham families. And we want no more families from Tottenham killed at the hands of the police. They will be the family from Jermain Baker, the Jermain Baker family. Margaret, over to you, sister.
Welcome, everybody. I want to take you back to the night that I got the call to say that my son had died. They told me that he was shot by the police, and my first thing that I said was, if Jermaine was in a situation with the police, his hands would have gone up. 18 months later, and I'm going to look at them when I say this, 18 months later, it came out that my son sustained 2 injuries, one to his wrist and one to his neck. So you can then now figure out how Jermaine was. Okay? Hands up! Right. So, don't shoot! Right. So, right now, where we're at with this case, 4.5 years later, is The police are now trying to escape, well, W80, this is what they call them, W80 is trying to escape being done for gross misconduct. As Stafford just said, the IOPC is now trying to up the game on him. What we've got to understand is, if the IOPC do not win this appeal, this is going to change things for a lot of cases. It's going to make the police never be accountable for anything, right? This is why everybody needs to follow this, because I'm telling you now, right, if they get away with this, right, if they get away with this, they're going to get away with this forever, right, forever, right? So, they have gagged us, they have now gagged us. We, you know, like they put the fear of God into us that we wasn't supposed to say certain things, right? But I'm going to get my day in court, June 21. They finally gave us a date after 5.5 years. It will be 5.5 years when we get that date. And there are things that are going to shock you. There are going to be things that comes out, and in this case, that are going to shock you. I want to see how they get away with it again. I really want to see how they're going to get away with it again, right? They can all look at me, I don't even care. They don't watch me. I'm Margaret Smith, and my son's name is Jermaine Baker, right? Yeah, brutal, they were brutal. They shot another unarmed man.
Okay, so they made this family, but they never gagged me. This was like dogging again. This was like dogging again. And it was worse, because they didn't do a hard stop. There was a car that was going to be involved in helping some people to escape. The car was stolen. The police had control of the car from the day before. They put microphones in the car. They heard Jermaine say, if this comes on top, we're going to run. Because Jermaine was not that guy. They heard it. They went in that car and they found a plastic gun at the back of the car. It wasn't in his hand. They knew he didn't have a gun in his hand, but they still opened the door, and they still, as you just heard, even with hands up, don't shoot, put bullets in his head. We're not going to accept this in this no more. We don't, and this happened 5 years ago. It happened, that means it happened, so long before George Floyd. And yet people are only hearing about this now. People have to pay attention. We have to stay woke, and we have to take responsibility for educating ourselves and keeping ourselves woke, because the system will put you to sleep as quickly as it can, as fast as it can. No justice? No peace. No justice? No peace.
Talking of George Floyd, my inquest was meant to start October this year. And since we've had a lot of, because the Black Lives Matter has been live, they postponed it with all sorts of things, using COVID as an excuse, because to me, they had all that time to sort their paperwork. But it's all right, we've allowed it. So it starts now in June 21, but we need to just keep Black Lives Matter active. So they know they can't move it again. They can't move this again, right? So we need to keep this active, we need to keep this. So they can't keep doing this to other families. Huh? Yeah, right.
Sorry guys, my daughter's here. This is her first march for her father, and I just want her to know that her dad matters. So I want you guys to say his name. Ready? Jermaine Baker, say his name! Say his name!
Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! And I'm going to ask what we do in Tottenham, as we remember all of those fallen. The Sylvester family should be here. The family of Joy Gardner should be here. But yo, they're older than me. They're old now. They've been campaigning forever. But just in case you didn't know, Joy Gardner was killed in 1993. The police and Home Office went to her house. What crime has she committed? She overstayed in this dirty country. She'd have gone back to a more beautiful country if the economic conditions weren't the way that these people created them. As an overstayer, they went into her home and they took 14 feet of masking tape and wrapped it around her face and her nose in front of her 5-year-old child, and they killed her, smothered her to death. Now, again, we don't compare and contrast, but when we talk about George Floyd, what's the difference between George Floyd and Joy Gardner. 14 feet of masking tape is the difference. And after they killed her, they told us that she was the strongest woman they'd ever come across in their life. They then went in 1999, January, and they took our brethren, Roger Sylvester, whose parents can't be here because they're elderly. They took him from his home on West Green Road. They took him to St Anne's Hospital, and 8 of them smothered him to death for over 40 minutes. Smothered the life out of him. And guess what they told the inquest? He was the strongest, wildest, craziest black man they'd ever come up against. Guess what they told the inquest? That he died of excitable delirium. Have you ever heard that before in your life? It means he got so excited, he combusted. That only happens when white police officers are in the space with us that we get so excited, we combust. It's foolishness. They want to kill us and tell us anything they want to do in front of our face because they think that no one is here to hold them to account. Well, we're going to tell them different. This is the first of a series of events. We're coming back here in October, on October the 6th. That's the anniversary of the Broadwell Farm uprisings. That's when we rose up and in about 5 hours and we kick off. We took 243 of them in hospital and one of them didn't come back. His name was Blakelock. We call that dead stuck. That's why they keep on fucking with our community today. Because they think that his one life is valued more than all our lives. And we say no. We want to see no more lives lost. We want to see no more lives lost. But we will not take the brutality no more. So within the next 2 weeks, we're going to call a demonstration. Not in Tottenham, not in Brixton. We're going to call it for Scotland Yard. We're going to the heart of Babylon. And we're going to tell them that we want the Queen of Babylon. We want that woman that says that she will not recognize institutional racism. We want her out because she has no investigative skills whatsoever because she can't see what's right in front of her eyes. What damn use is she? No justice? No justice? Say it like you mean it. No justice? When you hear in Tottenham, Haringey is one of the most violent communities there were, I'll tell you why. It's because we had the strongest community. And they did everything possible to break us down. Not just the police, the local authority. They were involved in undermining this community, in withdrawing the funding, in kicking our kids out of school. They've got a thing called the Matrix. It's a racist database that they created after the 2011 riots. The 2011 riots started here because of how they treated us. As a result of those riots, 1,292 people went to prison for 1,800 years. As my brethren said before, none of them are in prison today. And then they created a racist database. They put our kids on it. They share the information with the system. Once they know you on that database, they kick you out of school. We're having hundreds and thousands of kids kicked out of school. We can't even find the numbers. These kids are kicked out of school, they have no chance. They tell you that the gangsters are grooming them. You hear that story? And let me tell you something. It's the system that is grooming our youngsters for the gangsters. You hear what I said? The system is grooming our youngsters for the gangsters because they're not educating them. They're not teaching them with respect. They're brutalizing them. They're battering them. And the youngsters don't know how to stand up for themselves. So they fight other people who look like them. We used to have front line. Front lines. And the police were scared of the front lines. Because everywhere there was a front line, that's where the uprisings happened. Broadwell Farm was a front line. Tottenham is a front line. It's not a geographic front line, it's a front line in the battle against racism. We have to come together. We have to stick together, not just once. We have to build and take it to them. We have to make them understand that there is a cost and that we shouldn't be the only ones who are paying the price. Now we're going to do a 1 minute silence, no, actually 2 minute silence for all of the fallen. All of those that have been killed at the hand of the state in Tottenham and outside of Tottenham. I think there's a statistic here. 1,750 deaths in police custody following contact with police in England and Wales since 1990, and the one policeman not they are prison for that yet. So a 2 minute silence for all of those people, I beg you.